Hi guys! Last time you all wanted me to make a video about wheelies. And since I can't possibly say no to you, let's go and do some! Before we start, let me make a little announcement. The second season of our King of the Road advanced riding course starts very soon, so all of you guys who have subscribed to it, be sure to check your emails. You will receive a letter soon. And if you don't know what the King of the Road course is, but wish to know more, either click on the link below or wait until the end of this video and I'll tell you everything about it. And now let's go wheelie! First of all, let's see what happens during a wheelie. During the wheelie, our bike is being supported only with the rear wheel. And depending on where our combined center of mass in relation to the rear tire contact patch is, we can have different behavior from our bike, and then we must react accordingly. If our mass is located directly above the rear wheel, our bike is in balance. This is called the balance point of the wheelie. When we are in the balance point, our bike just goes forward with constant speed, and we don't have to either accelerate or brake to keep the front wheel lifted. If our mass is in front of the rear wheel, the front wheel tends to go down, and to keep it lifted, we have to accelerate the bike. This is why on most videos, where you can see people doing wheelies on a highway, they start a wheelie rather slowly and towards the end they gain a lot of speed. By the way, doing wheelies on the road is not the best idea, because there are a lot of things which can go wrong. And the problem is, if we pull a wheelie on the road successfully, no one will be really that impressed. And if we fail, we'll look like a complete tool. And that's aside from the damage to our bike and our body. So yeah, do your wheelies somewhere safe, on some abandoned road or on a parking lot, not on the highway. If our center of mass is behind the rear wheel contact patch, our bike tends to flip back, which is called looping. Looping the wheelie looks somewhat like this. In order to prevent the loop, we have to slow our bike down, which will bring our front wheel down. In practice, this means we constantly have to find this balance, where our bike doesn't want to flip forward or backward. As you can see, I'm kind of playing Flappy Bird with my front wheel here, in attempt to find the balance point. Great! Now, when we know what happens during a wheelie, let's see how we can actually make one. The main problem, the main challenge of the wheelie is that we have to lift our front wheel into the balance point pretty fast, because otherwise we have to accelerate too much and our bike will go too fast. But on the other hand, we can't lift our front wheel too fast either, because this way we will loop our bike. So we must find this sweet spot. We must lift our front wheel pretty fast, but not too fast. And this requires a lot of practice. First, let's just lift our front wheel a little bit. To lift our wheel from the ground, we need to give our bike an impulse, a very quick, short acceleration. On a very powerful bike, we can just open the throttle quickly and lift the front wheel that way. But on less powerful bikes, we have to make a so-called clutch-up wheelie. To initiate it, we pull in the clutch, give our bike some throttle, and then quickly release the clutch. This will give our bike enough impulse to lift the front wheel from the ground. To make the front wheel lift easier, we can use our body weight. First, we want to move our butt all the way back, to shift our weight back as much as we can. Plus, if we sit further from the tank, when we finish the wheelie and bring the nose down, we won't start singing in Mickey Mouse voice. One more thing we can do is to compress our forks and use the rebound to help and lift the front wheel. A bit later, when we become more confident, we can even use our brakes to compress the forks even more and have more rebound. To compress the fork, we also can use our body weight. First, we lean forward like this and then swiftly lean back. Look closely at the forks. As you can see, they rebound quite a bit. Keep in mind that important thing here is that we move our body weight to compress and rebound the forks. Don't try to pull the handlebars with your arms. A lot of people do this, but it doesn't work. Because we sit on the bike and not standing on the ground, we don't really have a fulcrum, so we can't pull the bike up by its handlebars. It would be exactly like pulling ourselves up from the water by our hair, Baron Munchausen style. If we try to pull the handlebars, all we achieve is we pull our body closer to them, which is very counterproductive, since it brings our combined weight forward and makes it harder to wheelie. So, to initiate the wheelie, be in the first gear, either at standstill or at a very slow speed. Move your butt all the way back, pull in the clutch, open the throttle, lean forward and then lean back as you are quickly releasing the clutch. If you do everything correctly, your front wheel will lift. Don't try to lift it a lot at first, just practice lifting it a tiny bit for a while. Keep your right foot on the rear brake the whole time and be ready to brake. If at any point you feel that your front wheel lifts too high, close your throttle and apply the rear brake immediately, and your front wheel will go back down. Make it your muscle memory. Each time you pop a little wheelie, apply your rear brake to bring the front wheel back down. When we put the wheel down, we keep our arms bent so they can absorb some shock from the landing, and at the moment of landing, we try to clamp ourselves to the bike with our knees. Again, for the reason that we probably don't want to smash our balls into the tank. And now all we have to do is to repeat this again and again and again and again, dozens and dozens of times. Little by little, we'll try to lift our front wheel higher and higher, until at some point we reach the balance point. It takes quite a lot of practice, so don't be discouraged even if it all seems too difficult for a time being. Just repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Move your butt back, pull in the clutch, open the throttle and rebound the forks as you are releasing the clutch. Eventually, everything will click into place. Once we start bringing our front wheel up quickly enough, we can modulate our throttle and rear brake to keep our bike close to balance point. If the front wheel dives down too much, we add a bit of throttle. And if the front wheel goes up too much, we close the throttle more and apply the rear brake. On 4-stroke bikes, even just closing the throttle usually is enough to bring the nose down. On 2-stroke, we usually have to apply the rear brake. But regardless, make sure you are ready to apply the rear brake at any moment, since it's the best way to save yourself from looping the bike. Keeping the bike close to the balance point is also quite a challenge, so again, be ready that it takes a lot of time to practice, and don't be discouraged in case you can't do it right away. Just keep trying and eventually you'll be able to do it. Which problems can we encounter when we are doing wheelies? First of all is lateral balance. When our front wheel lifts off, it can no longer stabilize the bike. This function now goes to the rear wheel. Now, instead of turning only the front end, our whole bike becomes a ridiculously overweight unicycle, which still does self-stabilizing, but now it has an insane amount of inertia compared to a normal unicycle. So it's now much harder to balance in a lateral direction. For this balance, we can use speed. As always, the faster we go, the more stability our bike has. Plus, we can use our body weight to help our bike with lateral balance. We can use the upper body or our knees to move our mass around the bike. But remember to always cover the rear brake. Don't remove your foot from it, even if you think it will improve your lateral balance. Second problem is how we manage our speed. If we keep our front wheel too low for too long, we have to accelerate for quite a while. Maybe even go up several gears. This way, at the end of the wheelie, we will have a pretty high speed. In this case, the problem is that we need an absolutely huge place to practice. Because of this, a lot of people do these wheelies on highways and then crash horribly. Don't do that, it's not worth the risk. Next problem is the landing. After we are done with our wheelie, when the front wheel touches the pavement, we must keep it in line with the direction of our bike. If it is not in line even a little bit, we will start wobbling, especially at higher speeds. You can see quite a lot of videos with this exact scenario, when after a wheelie, bike starts to wobble like crazy and then crashes. This happens precisely because of a botched landing. At the moment it touches the ground, our front wheel must be aligned with our bike direction. And one more challenge we have to face when doing wheelies is that we can loop the bike. As we already discussed, the best way to prevent it is to keep our right foot on the brake and to be ready to apply it at any moment. If we feel that our front wheel is too high and we are about to loop, all we have to do is to close the throttle and apply the rear brake. And that's pretty much it about wheelies. As you can see, all this is pretty simple stuff. There is not much to it, except it just takes a lot of practice. You just have to try and repeat and practice the same basic stuff until at some point you just realize that now you can indeed do wheelies. Now, a few additional things to consider about learning wheelies. First is the bike. Theoretically, you can learn wheelies on any bike, but in reality, the less the bike weighs and costs, the easier will be your learning process. For example, on dirt bike or a pit bike, you will learn much faster, just because you will not be terrified to drop it. If you try to learn to wheelie on some expensive bike, you will end up with disappointing results. Next is your gear. It seems trendy to do wheelies in shorts and t-shirt, but don't do it. Sooner or later you will either loop your bike or lose balance and become intimately close to the pavement. And it's much better to wear protective gear at this moment, so don't skip it. And the final thing is to set realistic expectations. There is a lot going on during a wheelie. You have to manage your balance around 2 axes instead of 1. You have to correctly time your throttle, clutch and fork rebound, and you have to constantly maintain your balance point. So don't accept that you just nail everything right away, and don't be discouraged if something doesn't go your way. It will. Just give it enough time and practice. Alright, I promised to tell you about the King of the Road course for those of you who are interested in improving your riding skills. Unfortunately, we will not learn wheelies there. Instead, we will concentrate on more practical skills, like very fast threshold braking, evasion maneuvers, braking in a curve, learning how to lean the bike really far, how to properly use our main and peripheral vision on the road, etc. All this stuff we will learn in a span of 9 weeks with the help of more than 40 special exercises. The course is set on 3 core principles. First is focus on skills and not drills. Each of those 40 exercises is designed to master a specific practical riding skill that can be later applied in real road situations. We will not just perform drills for the sake of it. Second is measurable progress. The course emphasizes clear, measurable and trackable progress. You'll not just feel some vague improvements in your riding. Instead, you will be clearly able to do stuff which you haven't before. You will be able to lean more, to make tighter turns, to brake faster, swerve better and so on. Third principle is to take one bite at a time. Skills are isolated and mastered one by one. This gradual and focused approach ensures that all skills are built upon each other, leading to excellent motorcycle control. Last time, in the last season of the King of the Road course, those 3 principles proved very effective. We've seen great improvements from our students. Better balance on the bike, better maneuverability, better braking techniques, and all this we just ram into our brain for good by repeating and repeating our exercises. So, if you think this course is for you, subscribe via link below this video and keep an eye on your email. You'll receive a notification as soon as the course starts. It will happen in a week or 2. Just like last time, the number of spots on the course is limited. Since I have to review all your exercises and videos and give your detailed feedback, I will only take maybe 25 or 30 people or so. So make sure to check your email, don't miss the opportunity. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, ride safely and have a wonderful day. Bye!